Uh, Good morning, everyone. Uh, Today's I will talk about emulsion identification test. All the tests that identify emulsions we will discuss in this lecture, lecture 2. Yes, here. Identification tests are sort of tests that are performed to check the type of emulsion. In last lecture, we studied about the types of emulsions like the basic types such as water in oil type and oil in water type. So tests are performed accordingly. So there will definitely a 5 marks question will come from this topic, and many time this question is asked by the number of teachers from different universities and colleges. You can search it from Google, the previous year question papers. Then you will come to know about the importance of this part or this topic of emulsions. Okay, let's talk about emulsion system. A number of tests have been proposed to determine the type of emulsions. However, the result from one test should not be taken as conclusive and identify of an emulsion type. Should also always be confirmed by at least two test procedures. So we have to perform at least two tests to identify exactly the nature of emulsion. All right. So first test is dilution test. This is a very simple test. You can perform this test at your home instead of your workplace or lab. It's a very easiest test, dilution test. You have to take two emulsions. You have to take two emulsions. Yes. First emulsion like oil in water, and second one is water in oil. You have to add water separately into two emulsions. Like in if the emulsion get easily mix homogeneously with the water, then it definitely oil in water type, because the emulsion or water oil in water type, the continuous phase is water, so it easily mix with the added water, so it proves the emulsion type, and vice versa for water in oil type. When you add water into water in oil type, it cannot be mixed, so it easily identified between two, it differentiate between the two type of emulsions. Okay, let's talk about uh, let's read the line. The type of emulsion may be determined by diluting an emulsion with oil or water. An oil in water emulsion can easily diluted with an aqueous solvent. Milk and water in oil emulsion can easily diluted with water, whereas water in oil emulsion diluted with oily liquid. So you can perform it at your home also. Okay. Next is conductivity test. So before talking about the conductivity test in depth, you have to get idea about the conductivity. What is conductivity? Conductivity comes from conduct, transmission. Or you can say that in the language of physics, conductivity means conduct or transmission of what? Conductive means the process in which the current pass pass through the systems, or you may say that emulsion. If the emulsion allows the passage of current, that emulsion is said to be conductive. If it does not, then the emulsion is said to be non-conductive. Okay, so conductivity is the character of water. We know that water is a very good conductor of electricity or current. But if we talk about the oil is a bad conductor of electricity. So it shows that the emulsion oil in water type is a very good conductor of electricity. It allows the passage of current. But this is not true for water in oil type. This test is based on the principle that emulsion with an aqueous continuous phase will transmit an electrical current, whereas one with an oily continuous phase will not. In this test, a pair of electrode connected to a lamp and an electrical source is generally dipped into an emulsion. If the emulsion is oil in water type, the lamp glows. Why? Because here in this type of emulsion, like here in this type of emulsion, oil in water type, the lamp glows because the continuous phase is water. Next, conductivity test, however, may give false result with non-ionic oil in water emulsions. Right? So next test to identify the emulsions is dye solubility test. You know the dye which give colors. Dye may be of many different types. So here let's talk about the water solubility and oil solubility, soluble dye. So take any oil soluble dye. Let's take an example of Sudan 3, that is oil soluble dye. You have two emulsions. Here you take in case of your very first test we performed today, uh, we discussed today, that is, so you take two emulsion, oil in water type and water in oil type. You have to add the oil soluble dye. So oil soluble dye dissolve only in oil. Okay, so the wherever oil is present, like if oil seen as a globules, then it shows oil in water. And we know the continuous phase of oil. Oil is the continuous phase in case of water in oil type of emulsion. So let's talk about when a water soluble dye such as amaranth is mixed with an emulsion and examined under a microscope, the continuous phase will appear colored. Yes, because amaranth is dissolved only in the continuous phase, that is water. But what happened when the continuous phase is oil? It does not dissolve. The continuous phase will appear colored if the emulsion is oil in water type, which is, while the globules will appear colored in case of water in water type. Okay. So I hope you understand these three tests. The next test is cobalt chloride test. It's a very simple test. You have to take a filter paper and soak with cobalt chloride chemical solution and allow to dry. It turns blue to pink on exposure to emulsion. It indicates the emulsion's oil in water type. Just focus on the last line. It indicates the emulsion is water, oil in water type. Means water has a continuous phase. When you dip a filter paper into chloride solution, it turns from blue. It turned blue. Okay. When you dip it again into the emulsion, it turned pink. It shows that color change from blue to pink is only possible with the presence of water in excess. Okay, so it proves that not working. This is not working for water in oil type of emulsions. Next test is fluorescence test. As the name indicates, fluorescence is characteristic feature of oil. You know, so if a drop of an emulsion is exposed to UV radiation and observed under a microscope, a water in oil emulsion should show continuous fluorescence, while an oil in water type would show only spotty fluorescence. So that is enough to understand what the fluorescence phenomenon. Next is direction of creaming test. You know, creaming is a physical instability of emulsions. So now this is come under creaming test, and we have to perform it to identify the type of emulsion. So when the creaming goes downward, it normally shows water in oil type. So vice versa. So here some glimpses of the test performed in the lab. So you can see on the screen the test for identification emulsion. So next is the number of applications. You can see pharmaceutical application emulsion. These are very important. You know, the maximum emulsions are used to cover the or mask the taste and odor of the active pharmaceutical ingredient. The unpalatable things can also incorporate in the form of emulsion. Radiopaque emulsion are used for diagnostic applications such as X-ray examination. So emulsion of both oil and water in oil type have extensively been used to prepare pharmaceutical preparation for external use and cosmetic preparation such as cream and lotions. The next sixth application is very important. Emulsification has also been used in aerosol product. You know the aerosol. You have to preserve the active pharmaceutical ingredient in the gaseous state. Like perfume is the example of aerosol. Inhalers, you can use emulsification in that purpose also. It also used to stabilize the formulation, the things that are susceptible to oxidation and hydrolysis that overcome by using emulsion. But we have to just take care of its storage conditions and packaging conditions. Next, the bioavailability of certain poorly soluble drugs can also be improved by dissolving them in